Alex here with a high conflict child custody video on the effects of fighting an abuser. I kind of covered this from the perspective of the cycle of revenge in the video Fighting Makes It Worse. Please watch that video either before or after just to sort of see how I dealt with the whole cycle of revenge when it came to my personal case and how I had to deal with it with my ex. And just to, in a nutshell, basically, anytime that I had obtained any kind of outcome that was favorable in court, my ex would exercise some act of revenge that would in turn give me a new issue to take back to court and again get a favorable outcome a second time and a third time and a fourth time. And I go over that in that video. What I wanted to cover in this video is not so much the cycle of revenge, but the issue of people sort of using this as an excuse to not fight. And I think what it comes from is the fear that if they do fight their ex, they're going to get really angry and they're going to take it out on the kids. And when it comes to high conflict exes, when it comes to personality disorder people, that's absolutely a concern, and that's a very real thing that does happen. So what I'm going to go into is the other side of that coin. It also happens that if you're fighting that person, that they know that somebody is scrutinizing them, that they know that they're under the watchful eye of you and of the court. And it also does prevent abuse and neglect. It's funny how that works because there are so many situations out there, so many cases where an abusive parent does get custody of the kids and just leave or push their ex away. And you would think that since they have control and nobody's opposing them and they're getting everything that they want, that they wouldn't abuse or neglect the child more. But it's almost like because nobody's watching them, that they do abuse the child more, neglect the child more. It's like it's from the perspective of doing whatever they can get away with, and they can get away with a lot more if nobody's scrutinizing their actions. So I really wanted to bring out and emphasize the other side of that coin, because those same people that are concerned, well, if I fight my ex, they're going to get mad and take it out on the kids, should be also understanding that if I fight my ex, she's going to know, or he's going to know, that I'm watching them, and that if they do something that's going to hurt the child, I'm going to bring it up in court, and there's going to be consequences. So I just really wanted to stress that there's two sides to that coin, that it's not that simple. It's not so simple as, well, because they're going to get mad and take it out on the kids, I should just back off. And that's how I'm going to protect my kids, by just letting them. It's hard for me to even say that, because when I say that, I think of what would have happened in my situation, and it would have been horrible and tragic. So I don't know. I mean, I guess it's a tricky perspective, because I think it comes from, sometimes I feel like people reach a conclusion first and then justify it with whatever logic they think will fit that conclusion later. And I kind of feel like sometimes this is where that comes from. It's like they don't want to fight. The court system is scary. They want to just get away. They just want to avoid it. And so since that's what they want, they come up with reasons why that's okay. And I feel like that's kind of where that comes from. The whole, well, this is okay because if I did fight my ex, they just take it out on the kids and hurt them more, and that would be my fault. Yeah, don't buy that. That's not, it doesn't, I mean, for me, it's not at all just fully true, because of that other side of the coin, where there's people out there who do back off and their ex does horrible, horrible things to their kid because nobody was watching them, because they could get away with it. It's horrible. It's almost a lose-lose situation. In fact, it can be. But just before you think that it is a lose-lose situation, or that you're in a double bind, I have a video on that if you want to watch the abuser's double bind. Before you think that and just kind of get frustrated, do keep in mind that I do have that video I mentioned in the beginning, Fighting Makes It Worse, where I do explain how you can deal with the revenge cycle, and how you can ultimately curtail their parental rights so severely that they just don't have any impact anymore. Or in my case, because of the termination of parental rights, they don't have any impact at all anymore. They're just completely erased from the equation. So it's a tough video. I know that I have definitely talked to a lot of people that have used this justification for not fighting for their kids, and I've held off on it. But I think now is a good time to kind of explain why I don't think that this is actually very sound reasoning. And if anyone here has an example, I would love to see people with an example of them backing off and just sort of letting their ex get away with whatever they were going to do, and seeing much more harm come to their kids. It's a really sad thing to have to admit in a comment, but people need to know that that's a thing, that does happen. There are some articles that I read on recent in the news, basically, where like a boyfriend kills the child, his girlfriend's child, and stuff like that. I have noticed things where they'll mention something about how stepdad lived 8 states away and had visitation like twice a year. Um, and it makes me think, maybe it was just like they just they weren't afraid that their ex was gonna find out and see that their child was being beaten, and because they're just not around and they barely have any contact, and or maybe they have no contact at all. It makes me really wonder if that's what was going on in those cases too. If I had a specific case or a specific article in mind, I'd post it in the links below, but or in the description below. But I don't have one on that I can pull out right now, out of the top of my head anyway. So with that, I guess I'll go ahead and I'll see you guys next time.